right now because we love to welcome new people every single episode. And I will also explain to you who I am, because some of you don't know. I forget that. Some of you don't know. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm going to give you my background. I've been taking care of moms and dads and babies for over 25 years. I was a labor and delivery nurse for over 7 years, and then I was a certified nurse midwife. I had my own practice. I delivered over 600 babies in the years that I was in practice, about 6-7 years as well. And then I had a retail store where I sold all kinds of amazing products for moms and dads, and especially, all the things that you couldn't find. And back then there was no internet for all of us to see all these cool things like this. So we sold all kinds of stuff. People came in for nursing bra fittings and everything. And it really brings up tonight the sponsors, which I'm going to get to in a moment. And then we started the show about 2010, and we've been live streaming ever since. And it has been the absolute best thing ever because I get to spend these nights with you and days with you as well. So tonight I want to talk to you a little bit about the sponsors that we have, two incredible companies with some incredible innovative products. The first one is one that we all know and love, and I saw Amanda in the room, and this is Rumina Nursingwear. And I'm going to pop this up. Look how good I am tonight. I've got my little thing going. Okay, so Rumina Nursingwear. For those of you guys who don't know what Rumina is, Rumina makes the amazing hands-free pumping and nursing bras and tanks. Now, I don't have a really great picture here, but I do have some good pictures for you to pull up on the screen. And what this means is that you don't need to use additional contraptions to hold the bra or hold the pump in place. Your bra is not just a nursing bra, but it's a hands-free pumping bra as well. So it does both. And in a little while, I'm going to show you pictures. The other fabulous company is Upspring Baby. And in particular, one of their products that I'm going to show you tonight, we did a giveaway last night, and it was so amazing, the amount of comments and all of your comments loving this product. And I have been working with Nadia and the team over at that makes the breast support pillow here for many, many years. I was telling you I had a store, and I used to sell this product in my store a lot. I've worked with a lot of moms and this breast pillow. And what's so unique about this pillow, which I will again talk about more a little bit later, it's not, as you can see, this is not a breastfeeding pillow, it's a breast support pillow. Completely different, okay? This supports your breast. So I'm going to, let me pop up the right name here, okay? Hold on one second. Okay, there we go. The Upspring Well Mom Breast Support Pillow. And in just a short while, I'm going to show you some pictures. We're going to talk a little bit about it, how to use it. And tonight, those are the two prizes that we're going to have. So one person is going to win a nursing tank and bra set from Rumina, and the other person is going to win the Upspring Well Mom Breast Support Pillow, okay? So I love for you guys to go ahead, and the way to win, let's talk about that for a minute because there were some changes. Did you guys like the new platform that we rolled out this week? We did a new platform where you can register. So you should have gotten an email from me this morning reminding you about the show. And also when you registered to get reminders about the show, it also registered you to win one of the prizes. And that's how you enter to win. You're going to actually register before the show, and you could also do that after the show. It's going to be up for another 24 hours after, so you can still have time to go register. But it's really, you did it? Okay, great. Did you guys all register? I want to hear if you guys registered and if it was easy for you. Then did you get your email? Did you get your reminder email? Because that's an important part so you don't forget. Yes. Okay. Awesome. So, yeah, I'm going to make sure that we walk through that, not tonight, but I'm going to go do a little live stream, maybe tomorrow with you, maybe in the morning, and we'll go over how to actually register, okay? And that way you need to do that each time. So even though you're on the list, you're going to get the emails. If you want to win the prize, you still have to register for each show, okay? And then there was a link for you to share. So that share button gave you a personal share link. And what that meant is that the computer tracks for me. If you shared it, if one of your friends registered, you got an extra entry in tonight's giveaway. And if they win, here's the best part. If they win and you recommended them or you referred them, then you win too. So how cool is that? Come on. We got to get some hearts for that. Let's get some hearts. I haven't seen any hearts going across the screen. So I'm going to be talking for the next hour. I need a little encouragement here. Let's get some hearts going. Yes, very cool, right? You shared your link, Tamika. Excellent. Okay, yeah. If your friend wins and you shared your link, then I will know, and then you will get a prize as well. Okay, so that's, I think, the best thing ever. The best thing ever. Yeah, there's the hearts. Okay, fantastic, ladies and men. Joe, are you there, Joe? Joe's sitting in the room. If you see me posting, it's not me. It's my husband, Joe, my partner. He's sitting in the next room, and he's going to be posting stuff for you guys. Let's get on with some of these questions, okay? A couple questions here. So first of all, Amy asked the question, I'm exclusively pumping due to inability to latch, lip and tongue ties in her baby. How can I ensure that the quality of my milk supply changes as my son needs it if I'm not actually feeding from the breast? So this is a really great question, and I think there was actually a post that I did this week that was all about the idea that when the baby latches directly to the breast, there's a transfer of bacteria that you as the mom will pick up from your baby and be able to start creating antibodies so that if the baby is sick, if the baby is starting to caught any kind of bacteria, that the saliva, the bacteria in the baby's mouth will actually transfer. There's some research that does suggest that milk that can transfer back to you, and the milk will change for the baby. So I think what Amy is trying to ask is that if she is exclusively pumping, how does that work? If there's no saliva transfer, if the baby's not actually latching to her breast. So my answer is that, yes, it's ideal to have the baby at the breast, but there are lots of ways that you can get that exposure to the baby. One of them is to do lots and lots of skin to skin with your baby, as well as just like kissing your baby a lot. Allow your baby to drool on you. I mean, these are things you're going to do anyway. That very intimate connection that you have with your baby is going to still continue to transfer that message to your body, so your body continues to provide what your baby needs. So I wouldn't worry too much. And the other thing is, put the baby to breast, even if they're not sucking, even if they're not eating, even if they're just, like I said, skin to skin, it's going to make a difference, all right? So I think that was your question. I would say the more physical contact, the better, for all different reasons, not just for this one. Good question, Amy. Hearts for Amy. Anyone who's new, let's remind you the rules here. When I answer a question, then when we're done answering that question, we give hearts to the person who asked the question. We give hearts to me for answering. Lots of love flying around here. Yes, our bodies are so amazing. You are right. They are so amazing. There you go. There's the hearts. Okay, hearts for Amy. And next question we have Alyssa. Alyssa said, is it normal for your nipple to lose color while breastfeeding? Alyssa, I would say that may not be actually a normal situation, but normal in the sense that it's common. Here's what I want to say about it. Two things. Losing color one thing that it could be is that you could have a poor latch, and that could cause some discoloration of the nipple, just from the way the baby's latching. If it comes right back and you have no pain, that's usually what it's caused from, but you do want to pay attention to that, because if the latch is not good, then you could wind up with sore nipples, and more than that, you can actually not be transferring milk properly, which can lead to a decreased milk supply, the baby not getting enough at some point. But there's one other common thing or one other thing that can happen that can cause the nipple to what we call blanch or lose color. And that is something like, it's a vascular issue called Raynaud's. And what that means is that when the baby latches to the breast, typically after the baby comes off, you can have very sharp shooting pain in the nipple. The nipple can turn white. What's happening is there's a vasoconstriction. There's a constriction of the blood vessels, and there's not a blood flow going to the nipple. And this can cause a lot of pain. And so if you're feeling that extreme pain and you're having that blanching or whitening of the nipple afterwards, it could be that Raynaud's. So one solution for that is hot compresses, and especially just taking a warm compress, putting it to the breast immediately after the feeding will help to get that circulation going. I would say moist heat, and so we all love Rachel's Remedy, one of my favorite people and one of my favorite products, but a warm washcloth or a Rachel's Remedy to the breast immediately after, like as soon as you take the baby off, will help a lot. Want to see a really cool feature? Here, look at this. So that was Alyssa who just asked me that question, and she's in the chat room right now. Yes. Isn't that cool? I can show you who's on the chat. All right. So there we go. I can pull up your, be careful because I could pull up your comments. All right. Just kidding. Okay. Hearts for Alyssa. Hearts for Alyssa. Okay, awesome. All right, let's get to one of the prizes for a minute because I want to talk about this. This is the Rumina, and I'm going to pop it up onto the screen here. Hold on a second. Let me show you my skills. Okay, so Rumina makes some of the most amazing, like I told you, nursing bras and tanks. We're going to give away a bra and a tank set tonight. If you have any questions for Rumina, Amanda from Rumina is in the chat room. You all see her there. But what I love about this product is that it really is wonderful for breastfeeding and also for pumping and being able to do it hands-free. Plus, you can do both at the same time. So if you were breastfeeding on one side, you could pump the other side and it will actually hold the pump in place. I don't know if you can see this right here, okay? I kind of put down the side and I was able to attach the pump to it. Okay, but that's a really special feature that you just don't see on anything else, okay? I'm giving you, oh, here's a picture. I love this picture. I'm in this picture here with the beautiful ladies. These are all of our mamas who won the model search in New York, and there they are with us. Yes, perfect, beautiful picture. That was so much fun. Okay, and then these are all the, let's see. There we go. There's a good image where you could see the crossover bra there with the bottles attached, with the pump flanges attached. And it does use almost every major pump on the market you can use it with. So it will work with your pump. And, just not having to wear all kinds of extra garments. So I love the Rumina, and I know you guys do too. So if you want to win one tonight, you want to win the set, then please just comment here. Let me know why you love Rumina Nursingwear bras and tanks, why you need one. Go ahead and put it in the comments, like and love the post, and make sure that you're registered like we talked about earlier, okay? While we're at it, should we talk about this breast support pillow? I think we should. Let's do it. Okay. So the other prize is this amazing Well Mom breast support pillow. And what does that mean? A lot of you guys have never, ever heard of this. And I was so shocked to see how many of you didn't know that this existed. So when we're talking about larger breasts and anything, this pillow can accommodate from a C cup all the way up to a J cup, okay? But when you have larger, heavier breasts, and most of us do when we're nursing, it can be really uncomfortable to have to hold your breast through the feeding. And for any of you guys that are doing that, you know what I'm talking about, where you have to support the breast so that the nipple stays in the baby's mouth. The latch and the position are so important when it comes to getting the baby on properly, to make sure that you're getting a good milk transfer. And so you don't want the baby hanging off the breast. You want the baby right on the nipple properly, and sometimes you will that breast needs to be supported in order to do that. It can, not having something to support your breast can actually cause so much wrist pain. It can cause all kinds of, I had somebody talk about nerve damage from nursing several babies and very heavy breasts. It's also really great if you are nursing multiples, okay, and you need to set up one baby and you need to, you're trying to work with one baby, you're trying to hold the breast with the other. So this little pillow will actually go right under the breast. And I'm going to show it to you because I think that, let's see, that's what it looks like here. I'm going to switch screens. There we go. Okay, so you can see it in my hand. I'm actually holding the small in my hand. So this is a really small one. And what's really important with the breast pillows is that when you get the pillows, that you don't just go by the size of the cup that you usually wear for your bra, because all bras are different. You may be wearing the wrong size. You may, from one bra to another, the sizing is different. So you want to make sure that you follow their instructions on how to measure. And there's an actual measurement on Okay, I just lost all my pictures. Yes, I can see it on there. I look like I was frozen. Okay, I think I'm back. Okay, so anyway, the breast support pillow, you want to measure properly so that you get the right size and not get one that's too big or too small, because it's going to be important to fit underneath the breast. This one is the small. Which one is this? This one is the extra large. So I just wanted to show you that side by side. They come in 4 different sizes, and obviously it matters depending on the size of your breast, which one you're going to choose. Okay, so make sure that you measure properly so you get the right one in the mail. You can imagine that's not going to work if you don't have it right. But the breast support pillows are just, they're squishy. Okay, so they're really squishy. They've got this like almost memory foam kind of foam inside of it. It's all kind of waterproof on the top. And then you squish this down, stick it under your breast and let it release. And when it releases, it lifts the breast up to the baby. Genius. Genius product. Genius. We love it. So Joe has some coupon codes for you too, and some links. I think I just lost all. No, I don't. Let me see. Here's the link for, there we go. Okay, that's the link to go over and get your breast support pillow. And they also gave us a coupon code for 25% off. It's Shari25, and you'll get 25% off on all your products from Upspring, up to 6 products, I think till August 7th. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so you can go over and do that later. Excellent. Okay. All right, so let's move on here. We still have a ton of questions to answer. The next question was from Maria. She said, is the baby supposed to feed from one side only at each feeding? When do we know to switch sides? Okay, so it all depends, Maria, because there are times where it is actually beneficial for your baby to stay on one side, especially right in the beginning. I would say in those early weeks, the first week or two, your breast may be more engorged. You have a lot of milk. More than your newborn is actually going to eat at a feeding. And what happens is that when your breasts are really full, the milk that initially is coming out, that's something called foremilk. And it's actually a more watery, lower fat, less calorie milk, okay? And as the baby continues to eat, what is towards the back of the breast, or it comes out after, is called the hind milk. And that hind milk is higher in fat, it's higher in calories. This is only important when the breast is really full, like during engorgement. But if you're not full, the breast is pretty much always hind milk. So you don't really have to think about it after that. So if you're talking about the first couple weeks, it may be benefit for you to actually nurse on one side. The baby may actually get way more calories by staying on one side. Your one breast probably has enough to feed the baby. So what I would say is in those early weeks, keep the baby on one side as you're hearing all those active swallows. Continue to nurse the baby. Don't switch too soon. What winds up happening with a lot of moms that I'll see with newborns is they have a lot of milk. They, watch the clock instead of watching the baby, which you don't want to do. They nurse on one side. They say, oh, okay, it's been, 15 minutes, time to burp, time to switch. They take the baby off just because of the time, not really hearing how the swallows are going. They burp the baby, they put the baby on the other side, they nurse, and that goes on, and the baby's peeing and doing fine until you check the weight. And then there can be an issue with not enough weight gain because the baby's never really getting to that fattier hind milk when the breast is so engorged. So I would say stick to one side, completely feed on one side early on. As you hear the swallows start to slow down, that's the indication to actually take the baby, switch sides, nurse on the other side, and then the next feeding, start on the side that you finished on. Okay, and just alternate like that. As far as an older baby, there's really not, you can nurse with one breast. And I'll tell you this from personal experience, you don't actually need two breasts to feed your baby. This is how moms feed multiples. You do not need to feed from both breasts. Your one breast can make enough milk for your baby in most cases. My baby did this to me. My first child, Jade, she's now 15 and a half. And when she was an infant, by 4 months old, she just decided she didn't want the left side anymore. So she completely rejected nursing on one side. I exclusively nursed her on my right side and did that for the whole rest of the year that I was nursing her. So you really don't need to nurse on both sides. So if you wanted to feed on one side at a feeding, you could do that. Just watch that you're not leaving the other breast super full, because as you continue to stay full, it actually sends signals to your brain to make less milk. So you want to make sure your baby's getting all the milk that you need, and that you're actually emptying the breasts, okay? But if the baby falls asleep, if the baby's full up on one side, absolutely fine. Okay, awesome. Marcia's asking a question. How long is the discount code good for? August 7th. I think I'm correct on that. August 7th. You have some time, but don't wait. If you're actually in pain and you need this breast support pillow, go get it. Go get it now. Okay. Next question. Hearts for Maria. Let's get some hearts across the screen for Maria. Hearts, hearts, hearts. Okay. Hi, Rachel. You must have heard me talking about you. That's Rachel from Rachel's Remedy there. Yes. Okay. Next question is from Lorena, who just asked the same question. Is it normal to produce more milk on one breast than the other? So we just talked about nursing on one side, and one of the reasons why your baby may decide they like one side over the other is because it is normal for your one breast to produce more than the other. Typically, most moms have a dominant breast. You might not notice it. It's not as, not for everybody, it's not as noticeable, but one breast could make a lot more than the other. When it came to my breast, one side made twice as much as the other. That's why she completely stopped nursing off of it. This is normal. And one of the things I want to say is that it has to do with the breast capacity. It has to do with the breast tissue. It's not something that, you can necessarily increase just by a lot of pumping or feeding, although that will help. So if you feel like you've been, kind of ignoring one side and that side has decreased, that could be the reason. But if you've been doing the same thing over and over again, and it's not a problem, and you're not like skipping feedings and you're not rejecting that one side, it could just be that you have a dominant breast, which is very, very normal. Okay. So, just don't expect it to be the same. Just like our bodies are not symmetric, okay? Our bodies are not symmetric in general. We talk about this all the time. Same with our breasts. They're not symmetrical. So it is normal to produce more on one. Okay. Hearts for Lorena. Thanks for the question, Lorena. Am I still frozen, or can you guys see me okay? Get some thumbs up or hearts. Just let me know that I'm coming through okay. So somebody say they saw me as frozen, and this platform is new for me. Yeah? Okay. Awesome. Okay. Next question came from Sandy. Sandy said, I have a hard time storing milk. What do I do if she doesn't take a bottle? Is it just a waste of milk? She's pumping to keep her supply up because sometimes she feels like she's empty. Okay. I think what she's trying to ask is, how does she store milk if the baby is also breastfeeding? And what I would say about that is, lots of times moms think they need to pump. Somehow they need to pump a lot of milk while they're also trying to breastfeed their babies, which is very difficult. You're not going to get a ton of extra milk, especially if your baby is nursing around the clock. Your baby's emptying the breast. Your breasts are functioning the way they're supposed to, which is supply and demand. They make as much as the baby wants to eat and not much more and not much less. So if they're functioning the way they're supposed to, you probably won't have a ton of extra milk to pump after the baby feeds. A couple ways to get around that, because I know some of you are going to be planning to go back to work. You want to build up a freezer stash. You want to have some extra milk stored away, and you're also breastfeeding, is to choose times like first thing in the morning when your breasts have the most amount of milk. Your milk supply is highest first thing in the morning. And so that's actually a better time to pump than, let's say, late in the afternoon, in the early evening, when the breast milk supply is actually lower. And what you can do is nurse on one side, pump the other side. And actually, you can use your Rumina nursing bra and tank, because the best time, the very best time to ever pump is to pump while you're nursing. The reason that this is the way it works and that it's best is because when your baby latches to the breast, they're actually stimulating a letdown response, which is a hormonal response. The suction or the stimulation to the nipple from the baby sucking will actually cause, I'm going to just turn off the fan. Hold on a second. I forgot to do that, and my hair is in my face. Okay. When the baby sucks at the breast, it stimulates the nipple, and that stimulation signals the brain. And then the brain produces oxytocin, which then goes back to the breast, contracts the little muscles around the milk ducts in the breast, and it gets the milk to let down and express. So it's actually stimulating your letdown, which is why you'll notice that when you're nursing on one side, the other side will leak. Why is that happening? There's no suction there. Why is it happening? Because that letdown is happening, okay? And so if you put your pump on when you're actually nursing on one side, you're going to get a much better response to the pump. So I would say that that's a really good time to get some extra milk out, and then just a little bit at a time. You can do a little bit of pumping before every feeding or a little bit after, but don't expect a lot. Maybe you'll get a half an ounce. That's good. Keep storing it up. You don't want to cause an oversupply situation where you're stimulating lots and lots and lots of extra milk. It's not necessary, and it can actually be detrimental in some ways. It may feel like, oh, this is great, I have all this extra milk, but you could create a situation where you wind up with plugged ducts or mastitis, or an oversupply where, the baby's getting very gassy because of all that foremilk that we talked about earlier. So I would say, just do a little bit at a time. In my program, I have 2 online breastfeeding programs. One is called Simply Breastfeeding. It's a class that you take before you have your baby. This is going to prepare you to deliver those first 6 weeks, what to do on day 1, day 2, day 3. What do I do immediately? Like, how do I get started? And if you're having your first, 2nd, 3rd, 10th baby, it doesn't matter. I have people who are having their 4th baby, 5th baby, and watch the class and tell me, I learned so much. I wish I had watched this with my first baby. It would have made things a lot easier. So that Simply Breastfeeding program is available to all of you guys. And then there's also the breast pumps and briefcases, which is my going back to work, pumping and going back to work. And so the reason I brought this up is because I do a whole chapter in my breast pumps and briefcases about how to store up enough milk for your first day back, what is a normal amount, how to calculate it, when to pump it, and everything else that you could possibly need to know about going back to work and storing your milk. I'm going to, let's see, and then that also, if you get the Even Flow pump, which I have right here, the Even Flow feeding breast pump, which I love and I help design, the pump actually includes both of my classes for free. So if you want to watch my classes and you didn't get your breast pump yet, then that would be a good choice. And if you already have your pump and you just want to watch the classes, you can go right to my website, sharicriso.com. Soon they're going to be available right here on our Facebook platform very shortly. I'm excited. Do you guys love the new platform we're doing on Facebook? Isn't that so cool? Yes, so cool that we're going to have everything like right here. We're going to have a membership site. We're going to have all kinds of really cool stuff for you guys. So just pay attention. Make sure you're getting notifications from me because I get some great stuff launching like in the next few weeks, like really soon. Yes. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. You recommend my classes. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that it's helping you guys. That was the point of recording it. I used to teach them live in my learning center for years and years and years. And we would have couples come in and they would I would teach the classes live. And some of you guys may have even attended those classes. And it occurred to me after every time we would teach it, I would feel really happy for all the moms and dads who were sitting in the class. And then I would think of all the moms and dads, like all of you guys who are in other parts of the country or the world, who will never get to hear it, who will never get to be taught from those classes. So it is actually the reason that I film them so that you would have access to them. And so it makes me super, super happy to know that you're watching and that it is making a difference. And that it's just like when we used to do it live. You guys can watch it and then we can be here together. So very happy to hear that. Okay. We are going to move on with our next question. Hey, by the way, you guys, Friday afternoon, and I don't usually do afternoon episodes, but Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to do an entire mini class, and I'm talking mini class, lots of information. All on low milk supply, everything about it, the causes of low milk supply, what you can do about it, why you may have it, and how to identify it. And so I want to make sure that you guys know that. I'm going to be posting about it tomorrow morning. It went up early, I think yesterday as well, about low milk supply. Chris is asking, where can you find the classes? Joe, will you post up for her for the classes? Oh, Joe's waiting for his computer to catch up with him. But yes, we're going to give you links for the classes so you can go get the classes. But then join me for the low milk supply class on Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. Okay, 1 p.m. All right, and register for that too because I'm going to be giving away a breast pump. We're going to be giving away some Rachel's remedies. So we're going to have a great day on Friday afternoon. I'm not used to doing it during the day. That'll be nice. I'll be nice and awake. The lighting will be great. I'm excited. Okay, fantastic. Let's move on. The next question came from Brittany. So Brittany said, my 6-month-old hasn't had a bowel movement in 2 days, but has had a lot of wet diapers. How will I know if he's constipated or my supply is low? Very good question. Okay, so let's talk about bowel movements and breastfed babies. Early on, you want to be seeing lots of bowel movements, that yellow seedy poop that breastfed babies make, and it comes out usually when you're feeding, it's coming out the other end, okay? That's going to tell you that there's lots of good breast milk going in. But as the baby starts to get older and into the, after 6 weeks, after 8 weeks, what can happen is that the baby may not be pooping every day and actually can go up to an entire week and sometimes even a little bit longer without pooping, and it's still normal. They're still wetting their diapers as long as everything else is fine, as long as the baby's still gaining weight, as long as the baby's still hydrated and, like I said, having pee diapers. This is not necessarily considered constipation. Constipation isn't the frequency at that point that the baby's having bowel movements, but the consistency of those bowel movements once they actually go. So if they've gone, they can, like I said, up to an entire week can still be normal in a breastfed baby. And what you want to look for is when they finally go, watch out. It's probably going to be a giant explosion, all, up the back, the whole thing. But as long as the consistency is the same, that is not constipation. Okay. So lots of people don't know that babies can go a long time without pooping. Later on, not early on, but later on, and totally normal. So Brittany, I would say that is probably normal for your baby. Am I frozen? I see someone saying that I'm frozen. I hope not. Okay, good. I'm going to keep going. Let's get some hearts for Brittany. Hearts for Brittany. Thank you for that awesome question. I got a lot more good questions here. Are you guys learning something? Do you love this? Are you getting some good information? Is it helping? I'd love to know. Okay. Yes? Okay. Excellent. Hello, Terry. Okay, let's go on to Maricela. All right, Maricela asked the question, is it bad to take Benadryl or Claritin when nursing? I got a rash on my extremities. I believe it's hives. I also read online that some women get hives when nursing. Is this true? You know, very interesting question, and there is some evidence that there is some evidence that some moms can have a little bit of a reaction. Remember earlier we were talking about the oxytocin release, the hormone release when the baby latches and there's a letdown. Sometimes you can have a reaction to that oxytocin, which may actually be causing the hives or a rash kind of situation to happen just for a short period while you're letting down. If you're talking about the Benadryl or the Claritin, both are antihistamines, both pretty safe for breastfeeding. As a matter of fact, Claritin especially is very safe for breastfeeding. Very small amounts are going to get into the breast milk, and so it's totally fine to take while you're nursing. Most medications, actually, are fine to take while you're nursing, contrary to the advice that is given out most of the time. But Claritin is definitely fine. Benadryl is fine too. Just watch the sleepiness effect of Benadryl or Claritin as well. But Benadryl especially, you know, just make sure that you're doing it, you know, not like maybe right after the feeding, so that there's a long stretch to the next feeding. It gives your body time to work that through. But Claritin is fine to take. Okay. And if you're ever wondering, like, if a medication is okay to take when you're nursing, there's some great references online to be able to look up those medications. I'm trying to think of the link now. If anybody remembers the link, it just went out of my mind. It's, you know, it's night. It's almost 10 o'clock at night here in New Jersey, so it will come back to me. What's it called? Oh, something risk, right? Infant risk. Thank you. Infant risk. Is it infant risk? I can't remember. Joe, could you? LactMed is one of them, but there's another one where they will actually answer questions for you live. Infantrisk.com. Thank you. Oh my God, it totally went out of my head. Infantrisk.com. And so you can actually go on there and they will speak to you live. You can actually call them, okay, and check with them. But remember that most medications are perfectly safe to take while you're breastfeeding. We went over this pretty in depth on another live Q&A. I remember talking with you guys about the idea of how medications don't necessarily transfer into the milk, and even when they do transfer into the milk, it's a very small percentage of what the mom is actually taking is what's transferring into the milk. A lot of medications don't even transfer at all. And then on top of that, some medications, I just did a post about this, about general anesthesia. Remember that post I did where I was talking about how it's safe to feed your baby right after you've had general anesthesia, that it's a complete myth that you'd have to pump and dump your milk? We just did this. And that's because the medications that you're actually being given are given through the IV. Your baby's drinking them. It doesn't work the same way. And so all these things, you know, where we're told one thing and it's actually incorrect, it's very important to educate yourself. Very important, especially when it comes to breastfeeding, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. I try to do as many posts as I can about the myths and the facts to try to, you know, set the record straight, to give you the information to be able to say to you, hey, take this back to your doctor, because I know that there's a lot of misinformation out there. And the problem with it is that it undermines your ability to breastfeed. It can have you wean sooner than you want to. It can cause you to, drive your milk. All kinds of it can be a real problem. So if you're not educated about things, I just saw people posting here about decongestants. That's different than the antihistamine, and it's a perfect example of getting education, so you know which one you're talking about. A decongestant is different because it can be drying to your milk. I'm going to go over that on Friday afternoon during our live stream. I'm going to take a sip of water here. Hold on one second. Okay. Let's get some hearts going across the screen. I have a good question here that I want to go over. It's actually going to bring up a topic that I think is important for us to discuss. I don't know if we've talked about it much. This came in from Krista, and Krista said, I got an IUD at about 6 weeks postpartum with my first baby. It started my period. It started my first period the day it was inserted. I'm not sure if that messed with my supply, but I could never seem to get more than 2 ounces a breast. What could I do this time around with birth control and to increase my supply? I would like to get an IUD again. Okay, so as I read this question, now I see there's actually 2 things to answer. Let's address, before we get into birth control, let's address what she's asking about how much milk she got per breast, because she's saying she could never get more than 2 ounces per breast. That's actually a really good supply. So in your particular case, Krista, I would say that you probably didn't have much of an issue with the IUD because 2 ounces per breast to pump is actually a really good amount. Babies usually, will never eat more than 4 ounces per feeding. And so if you're getting 2 ounces per side, and that's with the pump, which is usually getting out less than the baby gets out, I would say that's probably a very good amount, okay? But let's go on to the next part of your question, which is about IUDs, about milk supply, birth control. What would I recommend moving forward? The question is good because we want to use something that is going to be effective, if you want to try to space out your children. Breastfeeding in itself can be very effective, but for many moms, it's just too risky. One of the things you need to know, and they talk about with breastfeeding, a breastfeeding method of birth control, there's a couple rules that you definitely need to follow. And those 3 rules are: the baby must be exclusively breastfed. Okay, so you must be exclusively breastfeeding. The baby must be 6 months old or less. Okay, and also the baby, you cannot have gotten your period back again. If any of those things are there, then you need to make sure that you're using some other form of birth control at the same time. For a lot of moms, they don't feel comfortable with just using that method of breastfeeding, and they will go for another method of birth control. If you're going to choose a hormonal contraceptive, whether it is, the birth control pill. And when I talk about hormonal contraceptive, everybody thinks of pills, but there's lots of different hormonal contraceptives. There's birth control pills. There's IUDs with progesterone in them. Those are the Mirenas that they actually have the progesterone in them. There's actually 4 different types of IUDs, and they have progesterone in them. There's implants. There's Depo-Provera, which is the shot. And then there's the mini pill, which are the progesterone only contraceptive pills. And then there's the combined pills, which are the normal everyday, that you hear of, estrogen and progesterone pills. What I would say is that if you ask your doctor about these combined pills, they'll probably tell you that it's perfectly safe to take the combined pills while breastfeeding. And the answer to that is that it's true that they're safe, meaning they're not going to harm the baby, but that estrogen in the pill can actually work against you to dry up your milk. Okay, so I would not recommend taking combined oral contraceptives while you're breastfeeding at all. It can really dry up your milk. So that leaves you with the progestin only type methods. And that was one of the questions that Krista asked about the IUD. If she picked one of the 4 that have the progestin in it, then yes, that progestin can actually impact your milk supply in some moms. Most moms will have no problem with the progestin or progesterone only contraceptives, but you don't know who that's going to be. Some may have a problem. So my advice would be this: if you're going to go with one of those progesterone only contraceptives, stick with one that you can stop or discontinue if you feel like your milk supply is dropping. That would mean before getting an IUD put in, or an implant, or being shot with the Depo-Provera, and then it takes 12 weeks to a year to come out of your system, start with the mini pills and see how your body responds to it. Make sure that your milk supply is stable. Make sure that you're not having any reactions where it's a problem, because you could just stop immediately and usually you'll have a bounce right back with your milk supply. Test test it that way before you go and put in an IUD or take a shot, okay? So, and I've seen too many moms make that mistake, or they didn't know. Their doctor told them that it was fine. They took the Depo-Provera shot, and then their milk dried up, okay? So you just don't know who that's going to be. There's also one brand of IUD on the market that doesn't have any progesterone in it at all. It's a Paragard, and it's a hormone-free IUD. And so that type of IUD wouldn't have any impact on your milk supply. So that may be fine. Let's see. So Michelle's asking in the chat room, can the effect of progesterone-only pills change between babies, or if it was fine the first time, would it be okay for the second as well? You know, Michelle, your body changes from baby to baby and over time and as you age. And what I would say to you is I would not take a chance. Again, I would test it. If the progesterone-only pills, and the pills are fine, you know, because the pills, you're taking them every day. And when you discontinue the pill, the effects of it are going to stop immediately. It's actually one of the downsides of the progesterone-only pill is that they're not forgiving. They're not forgiving. You need to take them at the same time. You need to take them every day or you will get pregnant. So, yeah, so you want to make sure that you test it, and with the pills, I think it should be fine. The copper one, Stephanie's asking the copper one. Yes, the Paragard is the copper one. Yes, yes. Okay, fantastic. Let us move on. Did you like that? That was an interesting conversation. We haven't talked about birth control much, but I know you need that information. And by the way, I was a midwife for a long time, so I was the one who was taking care of you to talk about all this. So that was a nice change there. Okay. Let's see. Next question. Tamika, was Tamika in the chat room? I think I saw her earlier. What? She had to go? Okay, Tamika, I'm answering your question. Everybody tell Tamika she's to come back and watch the replay. Is it possible to breastfeed even though I had a thyroidectomy? Okay. Is it possible? Yes, of course it is possible. Now, if you had a thyroidectomy, which means that part or all of the thyroid was removed, your thyroid is a gland in your neck. It's a very important gland that secretes hormones that affect pretty much the whole body and also your milk supply as well. So if you've had a thyroidectomy, I would assume that you are on medication for replacement to replace that hormone that's missing from your body. And if that's the case and your levels are normal and you're getting your blood work checked, that should have no impact on your milk supply. So I wouldn't see that as a problem at all. But it does bring up the point about making sure that your thyroid is functioning. Even if you've never had a thyroidectomy, there are many people, it's very, very common to have autoimmune conditions that can cause your thyroid to be underactive. And this is especially true with moms after they've given birth, postpartum, and even during pregnancy. So you want to watch out for those signs, and we'll talk a little bit about this again on Friday afternoon when I discuss low milk supply, because thyroid and hormonal issues are included in that, okay? So we'll save that for Friday. Who's coming on Friday? Anybody going to join me at 1 p.m.? Some of you guys are working, I know, but anybody coming to join me Friday, 1 p.m.? We're going to have a great conversation. Get ready for a lot of information because I've got a lot to offer you, and we're going to have some good prizes. So love to know if you're coming. All right, let's get some hearts for Tamika, who had to go, who was here. We saw her, but she had to go. Yes, you guys are coming. Yay. Good. I'm glad you're coming on Friday. Excellent. Okay. Heather, please talk about excess lipase. What's the proper way to scald the milk? Okay. So lipase is an enzyme that is naturally in your milk. It's in your baby. It's actually a good thing. It's supposed to be there. It's what helps to digest the fats in the breast milk. But for some moms, you can have extra lipase in the milk that can start to what I would consider pre-digest the breast milk if you try to store it. For some moms, it's just if you're freezing it. For others, it's pumping it at all and putting it in the refrigerator. If it's left for any amount of time, it will start to pre-digest, and the milk can actually get a soapy or sour taste or smell to it, okay, which your baby may or may not drink. Now, I want to just say that the milk is not bad. So even though it may smell soapy or sour, it's still fine. It's just that the milk is starting to pre-digest. And so if your baby takes the milk, fine, don't worry about it. But for a lot of people, they have a problem because the baby does not want to take it once it's changed its flavor like that. So there is a way that you can deal with high lipase in your milk. And the way to do that is immediately after pumping. Remember that your body, let me just backtrack for a minute. Your body was never meant, I mean this like from a evolutionary perspective, your body was not meant to pump milk, save it, freeze it, store it, and then feed it to your baby later at a different time. Think about that. Your body is working in a way where it's just meant to feed fresh milk right from the breast, right to the baby's mouth, and there would never be this issue of lipase. We wouldn't even know that it existed other than the fact that we now pump milk, okay? So if that is the case, let's get back to what do you do about it? If you have high lipase, what you can do is immediately after pumping, you can take the milk and put it into like a pan on the stovetop, and just turn up the flame or turn up the stove to get that milk to the point where it actually starts to bubble around the edges. Okay, in my DVD, in my online class, I talk about this and actually have a video demonstration of how to scald the milk. When you start to see the bubbling around the edges, you turn it off, and then you immediately can store the milk. Scald, just bringing it to a high temperature and scalding it really fast is going to prevent that enzyme reaction, so that you hopefully won't get that soapy or sour taste to the milk. Okay, so that is what she's asking about. High lipase, very, very common. Does anybody have high lipase issues that you're dealing with? Anybody scalding milk or have noticed that the milk turned sour or soapy tasting or smelling? Okay, should we do one more? I think we're gonna have time for one more. Let's see. Okay. Okay, this came from Heather, and Heather asked, is there a specific food we should avoid, or is it a myth, and can we eat anything? I heard to stay away from mint leaves. Okay, interesting. So, you know, there's not too many foods that you really have to avoid when you're breastfeeding. For most of the foods that are available, you should be eating. And I encourage moms to really try to keep their diet as varied as possible, to eat all the vegetables, the fruits and spices, everything, because whatever you're eating is being transferred to your milk in a way to create more flavor. The baby's actually getting flavors from the foods that you actually ingest. So I encourage you to keep on eating those flavorful foods so that your baby gets used to all the different foods that you normally eat, and then they'll be ready for solids at 6 months and beyond, to start introducing your foods to your baby. But in particular, you know, when it comes to certain foods, the one that, and she's asking about mint leaves. Yeah, there are some things that can and have had impact on decreasing milk supply. Again, I will talk about that on Friday, but mint is one of them in very large quantities. Okay, so if you're someone who has an abundance of milk, don't worry about it. You can have some mint. It's not going to do anything, I promise you. But if you're struggling for your milk supply, I wouldn't sit down and eat like a box of Altoids, okay? Because that peppermint is going to possibly impact you, and it's going to work against your what you're trying to do, which is increase your supply. So mint would be one of those things. Sage is another spice that can decrease milk supply, which again, we'll talk about on Friday. But the thing that I want to bring up is, of all foods that you would want to consider, if you think there's something going on where you're eating something and your baby's having a negative reaction to it, that possibly they're not doing well from what you're taking in your diet, of all things that you would watch is cow's milk. Okay, that cow's milk protein is the one that so many babies that are reactive to, they have intolerance to. Remember, that's cow's milk. It's really meant for baby cows, okay, to digest, not for human babies. The protein that's in cow's milk is very different than human milk protein. And so there are many babies who just cannot digest it the same way, and they'll have issues. And when you drink the milk, or you eat the cheese, or you eat foods that contain cow's milk, that protein is going to transfer into your breast milk. And for many babies, they will be gassy, uncomfortable, fussy, and even worse, they can start having green poop, and just you'll see that it's an irritation of their bowel. So if and I had that with both of my kids, and it's a very common thing. I would say that in my years of practice as an IBCLC, I think 50% of the population at least has those babies have a cow's milk intolerance. And so on top of that, dairy or cow's milk is not very healthy for you anyway. So I'm not a big cow's milk advocate. We don't drink milk here in our house, not cow's milk. But especially when you're nursing, it may be something to watch out for, to understand that it's going to take, and if you are going to cut it out, it's hidden in a lot of different foods. You need to read labels, and then you also need to give it time, because it's not going to come out of your system overnight. It may take a week, 2 weeks for it to even come out of your body, before you know the effect of it. So I would say, if your baby's reacting to something, start with cow's milk, stay off of it for a week or two, see if the baby's doing better, and then if that's not it, you need to then try whatever else you may be eating and see if there's something else. Is almond milk okay? Almond milk is okay. Yes, almond milk, coconut milk, those are all, cashew milk, those are all fine to drink. They're all different. That's different. That is not cow's milk. Okay, so it's really the cows there. Let's see, Stephanie, could normal color stool but frothy be a sign of dairy intolerance? I wouldn't say on its own, just that on its own would be a sign if that's the only symptom. If the baby's extremely gassy, fussy, crying all the time, then it could be that the stool is showing you a sign that the baby's having some kind of a reaction, or there's some kind of an irritation there. But as one sign by itself, I would say probably not. Chelsea, that was your problem. Stopped dairy and stopped all issues. But now he's older and doesn't bother him as much. Still have it. Yeah, so that's a good point, Chelsea. Even though babies, and so many babies have this intolerance, as you can hear, I'm not saying milk allergy, okay? That doesn't mean that they're allergic to milk or that they'll have to avoid milk for the rest of their life. For most babies, they do grow out of it, usually by a year, sometimes even sooner, but you're not going to give them milk anyway, so you are not going to know. But both my kids were very intolerant of cow's milk. I had to cut out all dairy out of my diet, no cheese, nothing. And then they're able to drink milk without a problem. So usually they do grow out of it. It's not an allergy. Some babies have allergies. This is not an allergy. Okay. What a night. Oh my goodness. That was a lot of questions, a lot of answers there. Did you guys all learn something valuable tonight? I hope you learned something new tonight. I hope every time we get together, you learn something new. I want to make sure that we say thank you, big thank yous to our amazing sponsors at Upspring Baby and Rumina Nursingwear, and to make sure that you guys have all commented here, told me what you like or love about both of the products that we had tonight. Like and love the post, and then make sure that you register on that link that I gave you. I think I have it right here. Hold on a second. I'm going to post it for you. Here it is. Okay, the Join Me Live button. Oh, I don't have the actual link, but it's the Join Me Live button. I want to make sure that you all go and register so that you're eligible to win. And then remember to register again tomorrow when I post about Friday's episode on low milk supply. Yes, thank you, sponsors. Thank you, everyone. I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful night, and hopefully I'll see you all on Friday afternoon. Take care. Bye. Good night.